Welcome to the Draw Shop's Get Genius podcast, where we talk to today's business influencers to pick their brain and pull out their genius. It's time to get genius.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the Get Genius podcast. If you want to hear a crazy story of how a mega million-dollar company was born through branding and inexpensive products, then you'll want to listen to this next episode with my guest, Trey Lewellen. On this show, Trey will reveal a lot of what he did to go from $0 to multi-millions of dollars in his first year of selling. The story starts from selling t-shirts online to sourcing products and scaling his e-commerce company into a multi-million-dollar per year company, selling nothing but physical products through simple funnels. On top of that, you'll get to hear some pretty epic mistakes, challenges, and obstacles he came across, and the wicked cool hacks he uses so that none of those happen again. I know I learned a ton. This show goes on a bit longer than most of my shows, but it's because Trey is filled with so many golden nuggets. I did not want to miss out, and I know there's so much more. So you'll definitely get the links to find out more about what Trey does and all of his other cool hacks. I'm already implementing MTO, VoIP, and the 80/20 calculator, and it's only been one day since I recorded this interview. And if you want to know what those are, listen to the interview. Hey, Trey, welcome to the Get Genius podcast. So happy to have you on here.
I'm excited that you're excited.
I'm excited because I think I'm going to learn a whole bunch of new things. I'm excited for our listeners to learn. And I think we're going to talk about some things that maybe they don't really hear a lot about. So I know that you've built your own online empire and now you're helping people to do the same, but there's so much more to what you do. So before we get into all of that, I'd love for our listeners just to hear kind of how you started as an entrepreneur and got into what you're doing today.
Oh, dang. So my entrepreneur journey started when I was young, probably actually before 16, because I think I was, going around neighborhoods and doing those little magazines where you'd sell like some Christmas paper for school, and then you'd get $2. And I was like, man, I was making no money. Like there's some kid who was out hustled me. And, but actually I think it really started when I was 16 and I started cleaning pools. I was a pool boy, from the good old Hannibal, Missouri.
Nice.
That's how that started. And I made a ton of money, mainly because I probably didn't give any of it to the IRS. And so they're probably still going to hunt me for that. You're a kid and you're just having fun. And I would do, I think like 10 pools a week, and I'd make $40 a pool. And as a 16-year-old, I mean, that's, $400 cash. Like that's $1,600 a month. That is like, whoa, like that's a crap ton of money.
Oh yeah.
For a 16-year-old. And I fell in love with the entrepreneur spirit, and, the money wise was nice, and just figuring out like, wow, with money, you can kind of buy some cool stuff. And, from there, went to college because that was what, the parents want you to do. And if I had to do it again, no, I probably wouldn't go, knowing what I know now.
Right.
Which is kind of an interesting fact. But, went from that, and I'm just going to kind of fast track it. But went to college, got a job, hated it. So I went to 5 years of college to find out that I hated it. And I took a job of engineering. I was an electrical engineer. Took it for a year, decided it wasn't for me. Became an insurance agent for 3 years, started working on an online business while I was doing insurance. And metaphorically, they found out, and they saw that my sales were dropping in insurance because I wasn't putting enough time into it. I was more excited about my own job, my own company.
Yeah. And
so we separated. We left each other's company, and I, went out on a stake, and I got to tell you, like that was tough. And maybe that's where some of your listeners are as well. Is I'm sure we have entrepreneurs listening, and maybe we have people who are still working the job and trying to do something at night, trying to build something on the side, and you're going to get to a point where you have to make that decision, which is, do I quit my job? And holy smokes, like just leaving that golden paycheck is tough because it's security. And everybody is so comfortable with security that it's one of the toughest decisions that you'll embark and take becoming an entrepreneur. But it doesn't matter who you talk to. And Summer, you talk to a ton of people. But, at the end of the day, I think they'll all tell you the same. I probably would guarantee they'd say the same is the best decision they ever made, which was quitting their job and moving to something that they enjoy and they're passionate about and they love. And it's inspiring every day to wake up. And my girlfriend, she gets mad at me some days because I'm so damn excited to go to work, because it's not work for me. Like, if you love what you do, you'll never have to work another day in your life. And that's the way I see it.
That's exactly right. I love that. So there's so many things in just that little rundown of how you became an entrepreneur. I just want to circle back on some of them. We do have a lot of, obviously, most of our listeners are entrepreneurs. A lot of them are parents with children that, that's a big topic. Are they going to go to college or not? And I know that's not like the big discussion that we're going to have on this episode, but I would love to just, hear more about that, because I think about that a lot. Like, is it really worth it for my kids to go to college? I'm not going to be. I know there's some people that are just like, it's an absolute must. My kids are going to college. I'm kind of more on the, if they don't go, it's okay.
Yeah. The way I'm looking at it is, so I have a 4-year-old, so I definitely fall in the parent category. And, it's a two-way street on the college thing. Like, if they're going to become a doctor, like if he wants to become a doctor, okay, you got to go to school, because you can't become a doctor. I guess you could, but legally you might run into some issues, or a lawyer, or, I don't know what he's going to be excited about. I don't know what he's going to be, what makes him jive, what makes him thrive, what makes him inspired, where the power of being alive is. So that might tell the tale when the time comes. But I'll do my best to show him what we do and how we did it and how we do it, and give him the knowledge to where, like, hey, this is out there. This is something that's kind of a cool thing. And this is how we grow our business. And this is how we make money. Like, this is how we pay for the food on the table. And so you don't need to go to college with this, but it takes work and it takes dedication. The running joke always is the entrepreneur will work 80 hours to miss the 40-hour work.
Yeah.
And so it's that decision. It'll be his decision as your child is making those decisions as well. I agree with you. It's tough, but I think there's a bigger question at stake, or a bigger issue, and that is being able to spend time with your kids while working on your business. And that is one thing that a lot of people bring up to me when they come to visit. We'll host. A lot of my friends will come, a lot of my entrepreneurial friends will come. And that's the one biggest takeaway that they seem to always glisten from a visitation, which is I don't usually do much at home, which means, like, I'm not usually building a business. I'm not building a funnel. I'm not, answering phone calls. And recently we've actually come up with a rule which is, phones down at 6, and it's just kind of family time. It's, movies, it's pizza, it's popcorn, it's let's go outside and ride the little truck around, or just have a good time and enjoy each other's company, because we make the most of it. And I think that's huge, especially as a parent. Like, there's a lot of issues with finding time and understanding that there's time. And I feel that, one big excuse we give ourselves is, I can't wake up earlier. I'm already getting up at 7. I'm already getting up at 6. And the way I was able to break through that was, because that was a limiting belief for me, which was, we have daylight savings time here in St. Louis. And every 6 months, the hours change. We go back, we go forward. But those ones where we take back an hour, and those are rough, because I got to wake up an hour earlier. So now 6 a.m. becomes 5 a.m. or 5 a.m. becomes 4 a.m. But realistically, I've been doing that for 30 years, and I'm not dead. I'm still alive. I still have energy. And I think I seeded that in my brain for like 2 months, to where I was finally able to wake up at 5 a.m. So I get up around 5. But the thing is that's our time. The girlfriend and I, is where, we get up at 5, and we might read. It's really early. We're beating the sun up. That's the first win of the day. So we beat the sun up. So if you don't beat anything, if you don't win at anything else in the day, you got to know that you got the first win in, and you at least won at something. That's beating the sun up, and that's an achievement. And usually I beat it down too. So I usually get 2 wins for the day. So I beat it up, and then I beat it down to where, we'll spend time together. We might cuddle on a couch and just enjoy each other's company, or we might read a couple books. She's a very entrepreneurial kind of girl too. Or we might work on our business. And then usually I'm working out about 6:00. So I go work out, I lift, or I'll go and get coached or whatever at 6 a.m. and be back at the house around 7. And that's when the day really, really, really starts to begin. That's when the kid gets up and take him to school. And that's kind of where the whole neighborhood's kind of waking up. The school bus is, tooting its horn outside. And that's kind of when the world wakes up. And what's cool is I've already been up for 2 hours working on me, and
isn't that the best? Yeah.
It's pretty amazing. I don't know if you do that, but man, it's tough. It's a challenge to do.
It's tough, but once you start doing it and then you don't do it, you feel the difference.
Oh, you totally do. It sucks. Like the day goes by, like it's 10:00, and if you're waking up at 8, it's already 10 a.m. And
exactly.
Where'd the day go? And there's days that I walk in and I feel like I'm walking right back out because we're just so busy. Like we're just doing so much so fast, and that's one thing that I talk to my entrepreneur guys about is you gotta be a speedboat in this world. A lot of companies, corporate, like, dang, Summer, look, like these corporate companies are shutting down left and right. Like first was kind of like the Blockbuster.
Yep.
We're like, oh, that's kind of weird. Like Blockbuster's shutting down because of a red box that, is in front of Walgreens. And to where now it's like big companies like Dillard's and Macy's and just big giant Barnes and Noble, as at a $15 million loss this year. So they're getting crushed because those dudes are such a big, I call them an aircraft carrier. And it takes them so long to make decisions to where turning around in a half an hour is, it's too long. It takes too much. And you got to be a speedboat. You got to do circles around those aircraft carriers and being a startup company and always having that feel, that jive and being able to make decisions really fast is going to save you, because with the internet, holy smokes, like,
oh yeah,
you're moving and shaking so quickly, and just being able to make those decisions fast. Like that's one thing that we talk about is we're a speedboat. We're somebody who moves quick and we make decisions rapidly, and our staff even, they chuckle at it, but they love it and hate it at the same time, which is they're doing something different every week, and they're okay with it because it keeps it alive. They're never down on their job because there's always something new to learn. There's always something that's upcoming, such as like the newest thing right now is mini chat. How do we jump on board with that? How do we jump on board with text messaging campaigns? I don't know about you, but my physical mailbox is empty right now. Every time I go home, it's empty. And that is opportunity in my eyes. And so it's like, okay, how do we start direct mail campaigns? How do we make it work? And so it's like all these new opportunities are available to us and opening up doors where email is the fullest right now and the hardest to get through. How about we try a blue ocean where the water's not muddy yet, the water's not bloody yet?
So true. So true. I love that. So how did you kind of take us through the journey of how you built your business today?
Okay. So when I quit the insurance job, I was figuring this out, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. I was lost. And I was just looking for my way, looking for who I want to be, looking for my why, looking for what the heck am I doing? Like, where do I want to go? And I think a lot of us hit that. And that's kind of where I was, is asking God, like, all right, what's going on? Like, what am I supposed to do? Like, what? And I ask that sometimes today, like, what do you got me going on? Like, what's the journey here? So we were, my brother was in law school, so he's become a police officer, and I was doing insurance, which is as exciting. And the biggest thing with him is we're 7 years apart. He's younger. And I frankly didn't want to see him come home in a casket. You see all this crazy stuff.
Yeah.
And this was before Ferguson, Missouri, which we're only 20 minutes away from that.
Okay.
Happened. So that kind of brings up some details. But
oh yeah.
I really didn't want to see him. I didn't want to see him at a funeral because of a shooting, because of a car accident, because, anything. And so I called him up and I go, I'm going to tell you something, and you're really going to have to think about it. And that is, I want to start a company with you. I want to do something with you. I want to, have fun with you. And man, he did not like that idea. He wanted, he wanted to be a police officer. I said, what's about the police officer that you love so much? And he goes, well, I get to carry a gun every day and I get to, flip on those blue lights and of course, protect and serve. But I make fun of him because I was like, no, all you want to do is carry a gun and do the blue lights. But obviously that's not the full truth. Whereas, and I was like, okay, well, you'll make money. We'll make you enough money so you can carry whatever gun you want on your hip. And blue lights, we'll install something like that on your truck. And every once in a while, we'll flip them on or, do something. And he kind of laughed, but it really took me like 4 months to convince him that we can sell some T-shirts. And so we started selling T-shirts through a Facebook. So we created a Facebook page called I Love My Glock. And that's how it started. And we received a very nice letter from Glock, pretty much from their attorney's office, that said Glock is a trademarked name. And at that time, like, okay, what's that mean? I don't know what the hell we're doing. We just created a fan page called I Love My Glock. Like, what's wrong with that? Well, apparently they didn't like that. Like, so much so that their attorney's office, took time to send us a nice letter. And
wow.
And so we found out real quick that you can't do that. And we changed the name of the page to I Love My Gun. So fortunately, our company was ILMG starting out, so just the initials, I Love My Glock. And good thing Glock starts with a G because I don't know what else we would have done. But we changed it to ILMG, stayed the same, and changed from Glock to Gun. And so that was kind of our saving grace. And we created the page and called it ILMG, which now is the NGOA. And so it's taken a name change about a year and a half ago. And so we started this page and we grew that thing from our first like to 10 likes to 100 likes to today. That thing's over like 300,000 likes, which is really cool. And we had this fan page that we started, talking about T-shirts. And these guys were gun guys. These guys were patriots. These are Obama haters. And they didn't like the president. And they were afraid that he was going to come and take their guns. So we totally had that opportunity for us that we were able to move in that motion and kind of support that to where we took advantage of it by selling them T-shirts that talked about, protecting the Second Amendment, talking about saving guns and saving grace and all this kind of stuff. And I tell you what, Obama sold the most guns. He was the best gun seller that ever hit America as a president because people were so scared that he's going to come take them away. Yeah. And the same thing was going to happen with Hillary. If Hillary would have got elected, it would have been more massive gun sales. And so now with Trump, the sales have settled. So we've had to think of different ways and different means to go out and market. And so, maybe your listeners are like, well, it's easy for you because you're in the gun, you have the president supporting you. But we have mastermind clients who are in so many different niches, such as like sports or golf or tennis or the dog niche. Like, they have stuff like the dog niche, like puppy mills, There's in every niche, there's something. There's some sort of survey, there's some sort of petition, there's some sort of sickening thing that's happening that you can, vote against and to create those leads. So over that, we were selling through Teespring, and at the time, still to this day, really, Teespring didn't give you information, didn't give you kind of like Amazon. Like, gosh dang, Amazon's kill you to where you don't get any data. And our business, the heartbeat of our business is from the data we collect. Why Dollar Shave Club sold for $1 billion? Not because of the subscriptions. It was because of the data they house. They house so much data, and that's what. I worked for Unilever. That's what Unilever wanted. They wanted the data, and that's why that data is worth so much money to those guys. And we're data collectors. So when you can build a business with data, like emails, addresses, phone numbers, the touching points of that are insane, such as text messaging, voicemail, dialing outbound phone calls just from a phone number, email support, direct mail through, email, or not email, but address. Like how many touches you can make just through those areas is amazing. And we built our database from going off of Teespring and moving on to ClickFunnels. And so we started building websites through ClickFunnels. And from there, we gathered 1.1 million emails is what our database is at now. And, you kind of say, wow, the thing is, we started with one email.
Yeah.
We started with one and we grew it from there. How we were able to grow it so rapidly was we started using two-step order forms. And that is a very unique trick, or not really a trick, but a technique rather, that works so well to where, and the way where I found it was, I go out and hack funnels every month. I go out and look at what funnels are converting, what funnels are getting a lot of traffic, where's all the traffic going? And then I look at what they're doing so well, like why are people able to spend so much money towards these? And so I go hack them, like I'll go spend my own money and go through those, and I record those videos and I put them into a course that we have to where, it's like, okay, these guys are using a two-step order form. That was my biggest aha, to where you have to enter your name, email, phone number, address, press submit, and then have the price revealed. Maybe it's a coupon, maybe it's a discount, maybe it's free shipping, and or whatever. And so that when they hit that submit button, you collect their information. And what we're seeing is for every purchase, we're collecting 4 to 6 units, or rather like cards.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? To where
you
would now, so for every purchase I get, I'm collecting an email, phone number, and address of 6 other people that are interested in this niche. Maybe they didn't like the product I was selling. Maybe they didn't like the price. But I got to tell you, I got other products that you might like, and I'm going to retarget you. I'm going to reach out. I'm going to call you. I'm going to text you. I'm going to slide dial, which is do you know what slide dial is?
No.
Oh my gosh. Summer, you're going to be.
I know.
So slidebroadcast.com will be your newest friend.
Okay.
So slidebroadcast.com, what you do is you upload your phone numbers to there, and you just create a really cool voicemail. So do you sell anything online?
Yeah. Well, kind of. So not really. We're service based. So
perfect. What kind of service?
So creating marketing videos, video marketing videos.
So,
right.
So then your slide dial might be like, hey, this is Summer. Sorry, I couldn't reach you. So what it does is it goes directly to their voicemail. They don't even know they missed call. It just says you have a new voicemail. So, and it shows like from what number. And you'd be like, hey, this is Summer. Sorry, I missed you. Wanted to let you know that I have a new opportunity for you. It's a new cutting edge video service-based MP4 video that we just launched, and it's going to work so well with your company. I had to call you first. So I'm sorry I missed you, but I want to take some time out of my day to talk to you more about it. Can you give me a call back? And then you can upload that to like 1,000 or 20,000 or however many phone numbers you have, send that out. So you land 20,000 voicemails into 20,000 people's voicemails, and they listen to their voicemail, and then you get all the people who are interested to call you back.
I love it. That's so great.
And it's like 3 cents a voicemail or 2 cents a voicemail. It's super cheap. And so we have a ton of fun with that. Like that is probably the coolest thing that we've been doing. And again, guess what? That's from those opt-ins, right? People think like, okay, so someone's on your website and you're like, hey, you want a quote? Or are you interested in our service? Or are you interested in more of what we do? Or contact us? Like they got to fill out their information. So your database starts to fill up and you get to call them out and be like, hey, are you still interested in doing video services with us? If so, sorry, I missed you, but call me back and let's talk more. And so it's super personal. It's from you. I do the same thing with, so the masterclass, which we have, it does those video hacks. So people go by that. And then there's an upsell that we say, hey, do you want to be on our VIP calls, which are like $97 a month? And people, like we have a 12% take that. So that means 88% people don't. And I have it to where they immediately get a voicemail 30 minutes after. And it says, hey, so it comes from me directly. Hey, this is Trey. Sorry I missed you. So they're like, oh, crap, I missed Trey. Sorry I missed you. But I noticed that you didn't take the VIP upsell. And I got to tell you, that's probably one of the coolest things I've ever done. If you're still interested, I wanted to save you a spot. Go to whatever it is, mrhonda.com/VIP and grab it because I want to see you on the next call. I want to talk to you more personally on some things. And that has created a really big lift for us. Nice.
That's so cool. Just that alone right there. People can walk away and run with that.
There's so many things. And, you know, the other thing is like scale. So when we've had our company, the way that we've been scaling, it's, you know, like when you go from a database of like 10,000 people to like 1.1 million, there's a lot of things that break.
Yeah,
and
of course.
A really cool rule that we still use today because we still make stupid little things. I'm like, okay, that doesn't follow our rule. And the rule is super simple, which is multiply it by 1,000, will it break? So
Yeah.
I'll give you a great example. Fantastic example is sticky notes. I hate sticky notes. And when we hire someone new, they usually bring in a pad of sticky notes or something. And I'll be mean and I'll go like rip a sticky note away while they're in the bathroom or something. And I'll come away and I'll be like, just out of curiosity, which sticky note is missing? And they absolutely will have no clue because, it's on a sticky note. Like they can just kind of fly away at any random point.
Yeah.
And I would say, I'll ask them, I go, is sticky notes a system that can be multiplied by 1,000? Can you multiply this by 1,000 and be efficient? Or, can we handle 1,000 orders the way that we did this one? Or is our system set up that by multiplying it by 1,000, will it break, or what will happen, or what will exceed its limits? And just having that like mentality of when you're building something will really start to make sure like things don't break as you scale. A great example might be, hey, we're shipping out 10 items a day with me and my sister, and we're stuffing them in some envelopes. Well, multiply that by 1,000 a day. Can you sustain it? Probably not. So how can you fix it before it breaks? And that would be maybe grabbing someone who does drop shipping and having them take all over, things like that. Versus like we had a Google Voice number, and Google Voice cannot be multiplied by even like 2 to where
exactly.
Maybe you've ran into this.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It's awful. So I made that mistake where we had a Google Voice number as our landline just because it was free and we didn't have any money. And so as soon as someone second calls and you're on the phone with the first person, they get a busy signal. And then you seem like a mom and pop shop, right? Real quick. Everybody's like, a busy signal. Like, what is that? Usually,
exactly.
When you call like corporate, like Sprint or Verizon or AT&T, it's like, hey, thanks for calling AT&T today. Or Papa John's even like, hey, thanks for calling Papa John's. Glad you're here. Here's our specials. Like, wait, like it feels like that's what they want. They don't want to like when you call Papa John's, it calls like a pizza place. It's a busy signal. You're like, oh, this is a mom and pop pizza shop, not something corporate. And people feel more comfortable with corporate than they do with a mom and pop because it has more security behind it. It's more, thick as a company. And so when we had that, oh man, that was awful. And also like a Google Voice number can't port, P-O-R-T. And what a port means is that I can't call up AT&T and say, hey, I want to install landlines in my office. I want to use the same number that I've been using and port it over to this landline. Well, Google Voice numbers are unable to port. And so that means, let's say you've been running a business for a year even, and all your invoices, all your receipts, every, shipping invoice that's gone out or email that's gone out has your phone number on it. And now you can't use it anymore. You have to go with a new one, and all your websites and all your terms of service, like all that stuff you have to update with this new number. And for people who call, you can't transfer the number over because when you do, again, you're going to get that busy signal. So it's a freaking nightmare.
Oh, absolutely.
So don't do that.
Totally agree.
Don't do that, guys. That's like number one. So then if we want to dive down that rabbit hole a little bit more, I'll tell you my my horror story of,
oh no.
Oh, it's so bad. So with the phones, goodness sakes. So I did the Google Voice thing, and we had to get a number. So we had a new number, and we went landline versus voice over IP. VoIP is what it's called, which is kind of like internet-based phones. Which, holy cow, like go VoIP day one. You need to go VoIP. Don't go landline either because it's not expandable by 1,000. You'll just cause yourself so much pain and anguish. It's awful. But anyways, I went that route because I didn't know any better.
Right.
And we had AT&T come in. They installed 4 landlines. And, of course, we didn't have a hold system. We grabbed this guy's machine. It was like $2,000, and we installed it on the wall. And it had all of our ports to where we could, like, record calls. Like, we thought we were doing something special. And it was absolutely awful. But what happened was someone would call the main number, and it was unable to find an open line, which what it'd have to do is it was called ghosting. And so the person would call the first number, and if that person was busy, it would ghost over to line 2. And if line 2 was busy, then it would ghost over to line 3. But it'd have to ring twice for each ghost. So it was like ring, ring, no one there. Ring, ring, second phone. Nope, that's busy. Ring, ring. So this person's just feeling as if the phone's ringing on their end. So it's like 6, 7, 8 rings through, and finally it gets to the 4th phone to where someone finally picks it up. But so that again, like, okay, that's not good customer service. Like we're not, answering within the first 20 seconds.
Yeah.
That's awful. And then I'm ghosting. Well, one day, Summer, I made the wonderful mistake of transferring line 4 to line 1. And I created some sort of infinite loop within AT&T system to where when people called in and all 4 lines were on, an operator would come on and it would say, "Sorry, this number has been disconnected."
Oh,
that happened, and that was really bad. So then that's happening, and we have no clue. You have no clue how many people are calling you, and the only way I was able to judge this was by the voicemail. So we were taking voicemails again. Like AT&T doesn't take voicemails. Google.com or whoever doesn't take voicemails. Like it's a corporate company, and here we are taking voicemails. So again, we seem like a mom and pop shop. But what happened was, because we're just trying to reach every customer that calls in, like we're trying to be studious.
Yeah.
And they're leaving these voicemails, and then they're calling in. They're saying, "Hey, your voicemail inbox is full." And it's like 10 a.m. in the morning. I was like, "What do you mean our inbox is full?" So I'd call it, and sure enough, like, "Hey, sorry, your inbox is full." And what sucked was we didn't have, like, our caller IDs only held 25 numbers on the phone. And so we never knew who was calling. So we'd have to listen to each voicemail individually. And I don't know if your guys' blood pressure goes up when I tell these stories, but it's so bad, right? Like I get stress in my chest because I tell these stories. I'm like, oh, like I have to relive it to tell it. And I'm just going through the memory. But we'd have these voicemails fill up, and it would take only 100 calls. And we'd have to listen to each voicemail for the phone number to call the person back. So usually what happened was the person would leave a 2 to 3 minute voicemail, and then at the end be like, "Call me back at 217 or whatever."
Yeah.
So if you take 100 times 3 minutes, that's 300 minutes. If you take that divided by 60, that's an 8-hour day. So we had to hire a high school student to come in and just listen to voicemails to get the phone numbers.
Wow.
Then we are exceeding our limit on voicemail. So I call AT&T up, and I'm like, "Hey, what's up?" And I got this like totally nerd on the other line. Nothing against nerds. I'm a nerd myself. To where I was like, "Hey, yo, we need more space. Like I am running out of voicemail space." And he says, "No one's ever ran out of voicemail space." I was like, "You're telling me I'm the only client that's ever called and said I ran out of voicemail space?" He goes, "Yeah, we give you 100 megabytes. I was like, "Dude, I'm running out of voicemail space by 10 a.m. He goes, "Wow, yeah, that's fascinating." I was like, "I need more." Well, I go, "I need like either infinite or like a terabyte." And his response was, "Well, the max we can do is 200 megabytes. I was like, "There is no button on there that says infinite voicemail space." He's like, "The only thing we do is take you up to 200 megabytes. So I was like, "Okay." So I get off the phone, and we were filling up 200 megabytes of voicemail storage by 1 o'clock every day at noon. 1 p.m. So that means that the kid who's listening to voicemails can't keep up with the voicemails because they're coming in. So he was consistently listening to voicemails to where now it became worse. We went from an inbound call center to an outbound call center. And when you go from an inbound to outbound, you go from 100% pickup rate, because obviously people calling in, it's like, "Hello, how are you?" They're there.
Yeah.
To a 20% pickup. Because when you outbound, you have a 20% success rate on pickups.
Right.
And we call them out, we leave a voicemail, so then we're leaving a voicemail in there, and then they're calling back. Oh man. Awful. And then, of course, all 4 lines are busy, so they're saying, "Sorry, this number's been disconnected." So as you can see, this is a freaking nightmare going on. So then I'm like, okay, we need to fix this. We need to handle something. We need to get like voice over IP. Again, we can't port, so that sucks. Can't port over to VoIP. So we were in an office building, and it was two levels. So there's like level 1 and there's level 2, and both levels are separated by a concrete wall. And we were in the front level versus the back level. And we were growing so fast. I was like, okay, well, we're going to move new offices. And so we were opening up our office in the back, and we're getting VoIP in the back, and we're having the landlines in the front. And we test out the new VoIP system in the front, and it works seamlessly, like so perfect. Like we're answering calls. It's amazing. Like it's working. And so that night at 5 o'clock, I said, okay, guys, I need you to stay late. Like we had, I don't know, 7 people there. I need you to stay late. You're going to grab your desk, grab your computer, and we're going to take it to the back. So that night took us 3 hours to shift the front office to the back office. And that next morning was like Tuesday morning. And we started the computers up. We obviously, our landlines are in the front office, right? And we started at the back office, and all of a sudden we start dropping calls, which means like boom, call, like someone's on the call and then they're off the call, on the call and then hung up. So we're hanging up on people. In our internet, we get this IP address insufficient or something or other, like we're dropping calls. And I was like, holy smokes, this is bad. And the other bad thing was the landlines are in the front office. And I'm like, uh-oh, what do we do now? I was really almost to the point where I was going to go to Walmart and grab like 100-foot cord, like 5 of them, and toss them over the roof. Like, you laugh, but seriously, that's what was going on in my head.
Oh no, I know when you're in that situation. I
was going to drop some landlines, and that's going on. Well, what saved us, ironically, is so funny. I don't know how I thought about it, but in the front office we had AT&T internet, and in the back office we had Charter internet, and Charter internet was not set to handle our calls, so it kept dropping the internet. What happened was we were crashing the little modem that we got because it was spiking. We spiked it too much. And luckily, by the grace of God, we were able to Wi-Fi through that brick wall into our other AT&T little modem that was able to handle it from the test the prior day. And so we have 4 people answering these phone calls, and we have this big screen. I bought this like 32-inch flat screen TV. And I upload our system that tells us how many people are calling. And so we were getting 300 voicemails a day. So I estimated 1 in 4 people were probably leaving a voicemail. So I was like, maybe we're getting like 900 to 1,200 calls a day, which isn't bad, which we can probably handle. We turn on the system to see how many calls came in the prior day, and it was 15,000 calls.
Oh, wow.
15,000 calls. Like,
wow.
That's a lot of calls. Just to give you an idea of how many calls that is, one person can handle around 100 calls per day.
Per day, yeah.
So that means instantly I need to shift from 4 people taking phone calls to 150 employees. So when I say try to multiply whatever you're doing right now by 1,000, doesn't work. So as you can see, these rules started to follow. So we had to make a quick call. Now we didn't. That was the first time we saw that. We had to make a quick call to a call center and say we need immediate help because we're receiving way more phone calls than we thought. We thought we were in the 900 range. We're in 15,000 range. And so we call up this call center, which had immediate like 25 people they could put on board. And we onboarded them within a week. And they told us that their normal onboarding is about a month to onboard. And they onboarded us in 3 days. From Wednesday to Friday, we onboarded. And so we onboarded through our systems. We just took it to the moon. And it's me, my brother, and another coworker in this back office because we get to listen in and barge calls. And so we're listening to the calls, and these people are trained, these call center people are trained to be on the phone as minimal as possible versus handling the situation. They are just trying to talk to as many people as they can and solve the solution or solve the problem and then move to the next. And so what we instantly heard was, hello, how are you doing? Hello, I'm looking for my order. Where is it? And they're like, oh, it'll ship tomorrow. Thank you. Click. When realistically, we're so behind in orders that we're about 3 to 4 weeks behind. Their order wasn't going to go out tomorrow or the next week or realistically the next 2 weeks. It was going to go out probably 3 weeks from that phone call. And now they think their order is going to go out, which they don't get it tomorrow. They don't get it the next day. They don't get a shipping tracking number. And they're now calling again in 3 days, really mad because they really want to know where their order is and super upset. So we started getting BBB requests and general office requests because this whole mayhem was happening to where we couldn't keep up with as much volume as we were going through with the selling of products that we had. Like our funnels were just running, they were humming, and the support side couldn't handle the orders. And so that's the problems we were running into, the little hiccups as we grew too fast to handle. Like banks love incremental growth. They don't like exponential growth.
No,
they like
way overwhelming.
Yeah, they're like, oh, we love, like that nice slowly growth pattern versus us. It's like we're in a space shuttle, like we're zero to liftoff, like let's roll. That's how us internet marketers think, and sometimes we forget about the back end, which is the customer support, the phones, the reporting and QAing and all that stuff. And so it was a massive learning curve, rather quickly as we grew so fast. And so that's like, one story out of probably 30 that went down as we've grown and as we've learned to cope with those aches of growing by 1,000. But that's where that rule comes from. That's how I made it up. Where is this something that we can multiply by 1,000 and it still is solid, or will it break?
That's awesome. I love that rule. I think it's incredible. I think, another cool thing is that I want to ask is, did you have, like you said, you didn't expect that it was going to grow so quickly, or that you had to be prepared for that. But did you have, you might not have expected it that quickly, but did you have that goal? Like, did you have a huge goal in your mind? Like, we're going to be getting this many calls per day and this many sales. Like, what was your, because a lot of people, here's the real question. Do you create big, huge goals, or do you think it's better to stay safe with what others would call realistic?
So I have a fantastic little acronym that I use.
Okay.
And it's called the MTO. And it's a fantastic little thing that it's an exercise that I think you'll love, and I love it, and it's changed my way of thinking because it applies to both of what you just suggested, the outrageous goal and your play it safe goal. Mm-hmm. And so it's really crazy. Me and my girlfriend were driving. She's a real estate agent, and she's like doesn't have a team yet. And we're driving down the street one day, and she just like started kind of going into like a little bit of a panic and sad motion. And I was like, "What is wrong?" And she goes, "I just think I'm being too hard on myself. I created this outrageous goal, which was 18. She wanted to do 18 million in her first year." And I was like, "Yeah, that's a big goal." And she goes, "I don't know if I'm going to hit it." And so now I'm down on myself. I don't feel confident. I don't know what I'm going to do. Like, I'm not going to hit it. And, I feel like I'm a failure and I'm going to stop now. I'm like, oh man, I was like, shame on me because I don't know why I've never told you about the MTO, but I think it plays a massive part into what you're going through right now. So I was in Florida at a mastermind event, and this is when we were starting the t-shirts, and we were at this little event with all these cool peeps, and we were doing this MTO, and M stands for minimum. What is your minimum goal that you're going to hit this month? And that can be revenue, that can be profit. Another guy took it, and he's trying to write a book, and he goes, "This is the minimum amount of pages I'm going to write." So it really can be applied to anything.
Okay.
And so he's like, what's your minimum? What do you want to make? And at that time, my minimum was $5,000 a month. And the reason why I picked 5,000 was because as an insurance agent, that's what I made. I made $5,000 per month. Is around $5, 5,000. And so next comes your T, which is your target. So what is your target? Like, what is your target goal? Like, where would you love to be? And that might be your reality goal that you kind of mentioned earlier. Yeah. And so my realistic reality goal was 15K. I go, man, if I could do 15K in a month, like that'd be pretty sweet. Like I'd be really, really freaking happy. I'd be pretty freaking stoked. And then comes the O. And the O is you're outrageous. Super, just so far out there, unbelievable. Like aliens had to visit Earth for outrageous to come, pigs fly, that whole deal. The moon turns blue. And my outrageous, I was like, outrageous would be $60,000. And the reason I picked 60,000 in a month was because that's what it took me as an insurance agent to bring in a year. So I made 60 grand a year as an insurance agent. If I could do that in a month, that means I would have a vacation of 11 months. Because I did what it took me 12 months in 1 month, allowing me to have freedom for 11 months. Make sense?
Totally.
So February, I'm sitting there, I'm doing this MTO goal. And minimum is 5,000, right? Like minimum is you're no matter what happens. Like if you get in a car accident, if your Facebook ads account gets shut down, if your website breaks, like no matter what, you're making a minimum of 5K. Got it. Target, that's where we're headed. That's where we're pointed to. That's where all arrows point to. And outrageous, well, here we come. And so we leave Florida. I come back and we start scaling up Facebook ads. And we hit, 15. We did $30,000 in March, $30,000. And then April came, and I can't remember what we did. I think it was like 55. And then right as May hit, we hit $117,000 in t-shirt sales in 1 month. And wow. I have to kind of take a minute here and take a step back, because in February, not only was my target 15, but my outrageous, like where aliens have to come visit Earth, outrageous, was 60 grand. And yet 3 months later, we hit $117,000 in t-shirt sales, which is 2x my outrageous, practically 2x. The outrageous goal that I had set only 3 months prior. And it was all mindset is really what it came down to. It was all just being worried about not having any money, not having it work out, like just being, ball and chain to a job and a career and being in my comfort zone. I was comfortable. I was always keeping those realistic goals tight and held to my chest versus what about that outrageous goal that's out there?
Yep.
Why don't we try for that? Like that seems kind of cool. And it works really well and kind of hit back to Jennifer, which is, my girlfriend, the real estate agent, where in her favor, her outrageous should be 18 million and her target might be 12 million. And 12 million is, she's probably going to make that. It's a stretch, but she's probably going to hit that. And when she does, she's going to feel very, very good, right? Like, wow, I accomplished something. But yet she's not going to settle down. She's not going to take a breather because now she surpassed her target. And now it says, okay, we're on our way to our outrageous. Because now there's something bigger.
And like you were talking about mindset, just acknowledging what your outrageous goal is makes it more possible, makes your brain believe that, oh, this actually can happen. Yep. Whereas if a lot of people are operating on, I just have to meet that minimum, it's just like just getting by or just, keeping things as they are. Yep. And they tend to keep where they're at. Yes. They don't tend to grow because they don't even entertain the outrageous because it's not, realistic or like you said, that target in between that minimum and target.
Well, maybe you've heard the saying, like what you focus on expands.
Yep.
And with the MTO, here's my biggest secret. This is your biggest takeaway for the day, among some other things. But with the MTO, take a picture of it, print it out, put it on your mirror, take a picture of it with your phone and make it your back screen. Take a picture of it and put it on your rear view mirror because every time you're driving down the highway and you have to look at the car behind you, you're looking at your goals.
Yeah.
Put it in those spots where you're always at, your desktop, screen or alarm or whatnot. And what you focus on expands. When you concentrate on one thing, that expands. It's so true. Like I look at stuff that I've put my sole focus on and you know what? It increases. And when I take my focus away or I ignore it, it decreases. It's amazing. It's amazing how that happens.
Oh, absolutely. Yes.
Same thing. So as a 30,000 foot view, as an MTO, as you're focused on something at 30,000 foot view, all the underlying things will take place.
So I want to talk about something that you frequently talk about, which is the 80-20 rule.
Oh, okay. I love that.
Yes. And I think it kind of, we're talking about all these big goals that you have hit. And I think that in some way this is going to, it's definitely going to relate to how you've built your business and how you operate day to day. So I would really love to talk about that and then kind of, go into where you are now, where you consider to be yourself now in your life and career. And, and how you rate that in terms of success, that word that everybody has different definitions for.
Yeah.
So, kind of two questions there.
So 80-20, man, I wish I could call that mine, but and Perry Marshall is who wrote about it, and it's not even his. It's, I forgot who the original is, but. And Perry Marshall was the one who, he wrote a book called 80/20. You can probably still go get it for a penny or whatever, and it's plus shipping.
Right.
Great idea. And I read that book, and that was just a phenomenal book. One, it's a little bit about math, so you get through that. But the concepts and the ideas are so great, and it makes sense to where everything relies on an 80/20 principle or a 90/10 split. Whereas, for instance, like, I'll give you a great example. So our email database is, 1.1 million. Let's just do easy numbers, and let's say it's a million. Well, 20% of that database is the reason for 80% of the purchases.
Yep.
So that takes a little bit to sink in. So 20% of the database, 20%, so that's 200,000 people, is responsible for 80% of the revenue that comes in. And you might be thinking in your mind, like, that's not even possible. But man, when you scroll back the curtain and you look at our top performers, it is. Mm-hmm. I'll tell you another thing is like our continuity stuff, where we give the option. You can pay $20 today, or you can pay $196 a year. Which one would you rather have? Would you rather pay $40, or would you rather pay $20? Like, it's much cheaper for you to pay just $20 a day and have it for 3 months, or save a little bit and just grab the $196. But the cool thing is I get to collect that full in the $196 a day, which helps us out.
Yeah. Like
Grant Cardone says, Grant Cardone is always talking about, I know what to do with your money more than what you know. And I think that's kind of funny. But the thing is, what's nice about that is 80% of the people usually say, I'll pay for the year. 80%. And the other 20 is like, I'll do the $20 a month. And those $20 a month are the great people. But in order to get and pay to have those subscribers at $20 a month, you have to have those bigger overarching people that say, I'm okay, I'm willing to pay a year, because that gives you the ad spend to pay for those $20 a month. And it's like this tidal wave that crashes. It's always that crashing wave, but the momentum of the wave comes from the under piece of the wave, that momentum, that force. And that force is given to you by those yearly payments. And what splashes over is the monthly members. And when you have that momentum, you can pay a lot more to build up your continuity programs. And that's the secret. That's the juice. That's what we use, and the knowledge we know to gain those members to go out and rapidly increase our continuity programs. Because when you know your math and we know how it's going to all kind of settle, you're able to spend a little bit more than the guy down the road thinking, I can only spend $20 conversion because I'm selling a $20 a month program and I don't want to float. But the secret is 80% of the people usually pay for the year. And that gives you so much more money to spend for that $20 a month guy.
Yeah.
And that's so amazing. Now that's why I love the 80/20 rule. And the other cool thing is the calculator. Have you ever done his calculator, the Perry Marshall calculator?
No.
You need to do that. It's so fun. So I learned really fastly. We took our Facebook fans. So we had like 100,000 at the time. And I took what we made in that month, which was, I don't know, probably 25 grand or something. And then it asked how many fans, how many buyers, and then how much revenue. And then it told me how much each person is worth. And it said each fan to me was worth like $7. And I was like, you are freaking kidding me right now. And when I learned that, I said, we need to boost our like campaigns, because I'm paying 12 cents. Like, I'm stealing right now. I'm a thief, because I'm stealing likes from Facebook for 12 cents a like, and they're worth $7 a like to me.
Yeah.
So when I figured that out from that calculator, that's when we scaled our like campaigns, and that's when we went from 100,000 likes to 300,000 likes. The same thing applies with email. How many people are buying from us? How big is our email list? How much revenue did we generate? That's how much each email is worth to us each month. Well, instead of paying 20 cents an email, I can pay $5 for an email because of the math.
Right.
The other cool point about that is a very small percentage, a very, very small percentage will pay way more money than the other guys. And I think he actually makes this example in the book. I'm not really sure, but it makes a really good analogy. When you go to a baseball game, you've been to a baseball game, right?
Yep.
So we got the Cards, go Reds. And we're sitting, when you're sitting in that stadium, Summer, does the guy sitting in the green seats see a different game than the guy in the top rising seats? Is there different plays? Is there different home runs? It's the same game.
It's the same game.
Nothing changes. But yet someone is willing to pay $1,000 for a green seat or $10,000 for a suite for the game versus the guy who paid $20 from the scalper outside the stadium for a nosebleed. They all see the same game, but they're willing to pay more because of the seat, of where they sit, of the service they receive. It's a service. And the same thing applies in our business, in your service business for the videos, in our business for the continuity programs, in the baseball game. Like, that's how they make their money, because they know a certain percentage of people, very small, will buy suites. That's why they only have so many suites in a stadium. Like, not everybody's going to buy them, but a few percentage will. And then they have the green seats, and they have the first level, 100 level, 200 level, 300 level, because they know people are going to buy certain levels and can only afford certain levels. And that's where that 80-20 rule or that 90-10 comes in so effectively when you're looking at your business, because a lot of people sell like the $10 an item or the $20 an item products, and they totally forget about the guy who's willing to pay $1,000 for something.
Exactly. So knowing this rule, this helps you with how you're going to connect with who you want your customers to be.
Totally.
How have you done that so well and really built the loyalty that you have?
I'll tell you the secret. I'm giving like all my secrets away.
I know. Look at that.
You're just pulling out. So what I do, and I'm okay telling the secret because no one will do it. Most people won't. And the secret is I call my customers. I personally call them. And I have a conversation with them. And I ask them questions. And I get on the phone with them and I say, hey, I want to first say thanks for grabbing, some targets or whatever they buy.
Yeah.
And I'm the CEO of the company, and if you don't mind, I'd love to just have a conversation with you here for the next 10, 15 minutes. And to be frank, the conversation usually lasts 30 to 40 minutes. And it's usually them just talking and telling me about them and telling me about who they are and what they're afraid of, what they're in love with, what they hate, what their biggest concerns are. And that knowledge, that fuel, I bring to the table, to our company, to our board. And I say, here's what they're saying. Here's where they're headed. And we take that knowledge, because we take their words and we use them on the websites. So we listen very effectively to our customers, and we use their own terms, their own slang, their own, concerns, and we put that through our sales pages, and that's how we get them to convert so high, and how we build that trust, because we're talking the same talk.
So you're really just understanding who it is that's on the other side.
We're having a conversation.
And then in terms of, really, you're really understanding the client that you want to keep coming back for more, like you said, who's going to pay that year-long membership. Absolutely.
Yep. Why'd you join?
Yeah.
I'll ask them up front, and I'll ask the people who don't join, hey, why didn't you join?
Yeah.
I want to know. And you know what? They're like, well, I didn't see this. Oh, well, shoot, it was in there. Maybe it wasn't big enough. Maybe I need to move it to the front. Or, hey, you know what? We don't do that. You're right. If I did do that, would you join? Absolutely. Okay. Let's see if I can make that happen. The same thing goes with the people who opt in and don't buy. Mm-hmm. Okay. As we talked in the beginning of this call, which you promised would only be 30 minutes.
I know. Look at us. You have too much good information.
to where we're opting in and they're not buying. So those are our drop cards. And so I'll call them and I'll be upfront. I'll be like, hey, you opted in, you saw the price. what's going on? Like, did you not like it? Was it too expensive? I'd love to pick your brain and talk to you. And you know, the thing is, like, these guys are nice. Like, they're so nice and they're so receptive because I'm reaching out. Like, when's the last time you went to Chick-fil-A and got a sandwich and they called you the next day and they're like, how'd you enjoy that sandwich back at Chick-fil-A? They don't. Right. McDonald's doesn't call you. Walmart doesn't follow up and say, hey, how was your purchasing at Walmart? Did you have fun? Like, did you see low prices? That's what it's taking, you know, for us to get in front of all these other, you know, competitors and really settle down with our customers and listen and say, hey, you know what, we're creating a fan club, we're creating a mission, we're creating a statement, we're putting a stake in the ground, drawing the line in the sand and saying this is what we stand for. And it looks like you're on board. And I'd like to talk to you more about that. And I might make 20 or 30 calls. I might talk to, you know, 5 or 10 people. I'll leave voicemails for everyone, and they'll call me back. They could, like, I had a call today come in, and I called him 3 days ago, and he's like, hey, I'm sorry. I didn't mean to, you know, not listen to you or get back to you, but I've just been so busy, but I had you on my list. And so they'll call you, you know, and they'll talk to me. Like, sometimes I'll forget what I call them about. I'm like, oh, let me look you up real fast. And you bought this. I was just calling to see why you bought it and what you think about it. Looks like you probably should have it by now. I see the shipping's there. And they're like, oh man, yeah, I love it. Or man, the packaging didn't come in, or it came torn, or you know, it's a piece of junk, whatever, you know. And then comes the fixes, the changes. And so we use that information to make a better experience for our customers, so that the next guy down the road who buys that product is wowed. He's like, holy smokes, this thing's beautiful. I love it. I use it all the time. It's amazing. He tells his friends about it, and they go and buy it.
Yep. Allows you to just get better and better and better. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there's probably about, you know, 1,000 more questions, but I don't want to break you with 1,000. So I think I could go on for hours and hours talking to you and getting so many good pieces of advice, especially for our business owners listening. But I'd love to lead them to a website, the best place that they can find more information, learn more from you, see more of you in the media and all the cool stuff that you're doing, because there's a ton.
I have something really cool for you.
Okay.
So there was a funnel that we built, and there's lots of funnels that we've built, but we use the same type of funnel throughout our funnels. And I would actually, since the listener has listened this far, we might as well reward them.
Yes.
And what we'd like to do is, if they go to mronit.com
okay.
/genius, we will gift them an entire funnel to download. And it's a funnel that's been optimized, and all they have to do is insert their product, insert their course, insert whatever they want, and they can go there and download that and have it for free. It's no cost. And you know what? Maybe that's the fire they need, or the jump start they need to get to the next destination.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. And we'll make sure to have a link to that as well. Thank you.
Yes, that'll be mronit.com /genius.
Okay, perfect. Trey, thank you so much. This has been so fabulous, so entertaining as well. I love your stories.
Good. I'm happy. That makes it all worth it.
Thanks so much.
Thank you for listening to today's Get Genius. You can learn more about The Draw Shop at www.thedrawshop.com, on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter. Your home for kick-butt custom whiteboard marketing videos. Your ideas come to life. Thanks for listening. Please share, comment, and make any suggestions for future Genius guests.